Semi-final time. This is what we've been waiting for. Gooners, it's Arsenal versus PSG. I tried. Champions League, one step from the final. We're bringing the live watch-along back to Box Park this Tuesday, April 29th, and this time we're at Wembley. Big stakes, big screens, and big reactions. Whether you're in the crowd at Box Park or tuning in on the stream, this is not one to miss. Nights like this don't come often. This could be the night Arsenal write themselves into European history. Check out boxpark.co.uk for more information, and I'll see you there.
Every Arsenal fan's dreaming right now. We're trying to finish off that memory from 2006 and put it right.
I think when you go this long without a trophy, you've got to have some pressure and you've got to have some question marks. If he wins this, I'll say all is forgiven, man, because this is what we want to be doing.
I'd say 4 weeks ago, going into Real Madrid, we're probably thinking, listen, let's just stay in it for that second leg and let's just hope and pray. How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another supporters club. There's a little break, it's not international, it's because we're at the FA Cup, but we've got a big semi-final ahead of us. Champions League, PSG, first at the Emirates, and then we go over there to Paris and play them in the second leg. Hopefully, with it wrapped up like it was against Real, but at least let's make sure we're still in it come the second leg. Confident, yes, but I'm here with a couple of the old school panel in the building. Chris Hudson ain't with us today, my right-hand man on this show, but Curtis is back in the building.
Good to be here.
Curtis, and Dan Potts is in the building too.
Love, boys.
It's been a little while since you've been on this one, isn't it?
Bro, I haven't been on supporters club for a while, you know. Yeah. Listen, I can't replace Chris, man. Chris is a legend. We just speak about offline, man. I absolutely love Chris Hudson, man. So yeah, I miss him. I thought he was coming today. So
he'll be watching this thinking, oh, they still fucking done it without
me.
That Tim Payton.
Tim Payton. All you other media lovey dummies.
Yeah.
But you know what I like about us three, yeah? Because generally, I think a lot of people that support our channels or align with our views, we have a lot in common in the way we view things. I think we have a lot we disagree on too on a lot of things, but more often than not, people align us. You know, even in the comment sections, you'll see, Turkish is the realist, Curtis Dan Potts, or Dan Potts is the realist, Curtis Turkish, and so on. But it's a different kind of mood right now. You know, in my opinion anyway. Even though we're coming off a draw against Palace, we've got a Champions League semi-final, and it all rests on that, the mood of the season. But how are we feeling? Curtis, let me start with you. How are you, generally feeling now? Because like me, I'd say 4 weeks ago, going into Real Madrid, we're probably thinking, listen, let's just stay in it for that second leg and let's just hope and pray. In the end, we emphatically got past them. And we got a PSG side we already beat, albeit a weaker side, and they're much more informed now. But what's your mood like right now around Arsenal?
Bro, we're dreaming. Every Arsenal fan's dreaming right now. We're trying to finish off that memory from 2006 and put it right. And listen, I think we've got a great opportunity. Like, we were talking about it the other day, like, yeah, Inter are a good team. Inter lost 3-0 last night to AC Milan in the Cup semi-final with Mkhitaryan and Darmian and these guys. Listen, they're a good team, well organised, but they're not. This ain't Recoba and Adriano Inter Milan from back in the day. Barcelona, quality team, but it's not Messi, Suarez, Neymar Barcelona, and they concede a lot of goals. Now, we're not the perfect team. We saw that in the league this season, that, you know, we've got frailties, but if you'd have said to anyone at the start of the season, Champions League semi-final, PSG, you'd have gone, we got a chance here. You can't expect to be in a semi-final and not playing a good team. It wasn't like we were going to be playing some pushovers, so you're always going to have a challenge, but I think we've got to grab the opportunity. And what I've realised watching these Premier League games is the season is kind of in the balance, because on one hand, if we go out to PSG, I think a lot of people will look back on this season and go, that wasn't good enough, like, we've regressed. But then the flip side of it, you feel like this could be one of the greatest seasons you've ever seen if we win the Champions League. So it's hanging in the balance.
I think in isolation, because there's been a lot of debate about this, Dan, you know, not a lot of debate. All opposition fans, anytime they have a chance to knock Arsenal, they will. But don't celebrate too much, you haven't won it yet. But in isolation, that result equips us better for the future, regardless of what happens, or the belief, going into a similar game next season potentially. We're equipped a lot more to be confident about it, to think we can do it, and maybe even be favourites sometime. But like Curtis said, it all does rest on that, whereas some of the other teams do have something to fall back on. Do you think Arsenal are under the most pressure in the Champions League at this moment, considering that PSG have walked their title, Barcelona are, going to win their title? Or maybe not talk too soon, because it's still, I think 4 points. And Inter Milan look like they'll probably do it as well, even though I don't think Napoli are too far behind at the time of recording. Even though Curtis said semi-final, you'll take it, everything else has fallen, at the wayside. How are you feeling about the situation now? We're coming off a draw where essentially by the time this is out, maybe Liverpool have won the league. But we're going into a Champions League semi-final that a lot of people say if we get the distance, it will overshadow what Liverpool done this season.
Yeah, man, look, there's not pressure on Arsenal to win the Champions League because they should, and it's easy for them. It's a walk in the park now. But in terms of winning a trophy, the other three teams are probably going to do that, yeah? And I think we're probably under the most pressure to win a trophy, particularly Mikel Arteta. I think a lot of people before the season kicked off said he's got to win something this season. He hasn't been able to win a domestic cup, and the league title looks like it's done, dead and buried, and has been for quite some time. So for me, the Champions League now is kind of, for most fans like you and I, are kind of like, we've got to win it, because at the moment it's a great night in Madrid. I want it to be a great season, bruv. And the way this could be a great season and a memorable one is to win that trophy. And before a ball was kicked, I was asked the question, do you want Premier League or Champions League? I said Champions League. The reason I want Champions League is because I haven't seen it, bruv. Yeah, it's the one with the big ears that we've been chasing for God knows how long. And I'm sitting there now thinking we're so close, because we don't even have to win 3 games to win this. We might even have to win 2. Yeah. Some people have said to me, we don't even have to win 2. You win one against PSG, you go through, and you might not have to win it, and you can win it on penalties.
You can draw 3 games and win it.
You can draw 3 games and win it. You know what I'm saying? So I look at it now and think that's how close we are. We're talking about that, and I don't think we can underappreciate what Mikel has done there, to be fair. I think, us three haven't always been his biggest fans, but I think that we've been quite fair when we've been criticising him. I think it's been justifiable. I think when you go this long without a trophy, you've got to have some pressure and you've got to have some question marks. If he wins this, I'll say all is forgiven, man, because this is what we want to be doing. The pressure has to be on to win these trophies. This is where we should be. And this is why I was so frustrated when the ownership have been like, we're back in the Champions League. We should always be in the Champions League. That shouldn't be an unbelievable achievement. That should be an absolute given. So for me to go and win it now is where we should be doing. And I think delivering it would be good. And just lastly, on the kind of pressure thing, I think pressure's good, if I'm honest. Yeah. At a club the size of us, I don't think it should just be like, well, the semi-final, we can't forget that we got to the semis. We can't forget that night in Madrid, because we've had unbelievable nights. I remember the night where we beat Barcelona at the Emirates, which people still recognise as one of the greatest. It didn't lead to anything, did it? I've had great nights at the Emirates, but it didn't lead to anything. Danny Welbeck scored against Leicester. We all thought winning the league. Didn't win.
And it hits different when it leads to something.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So when it leads to something, it's amazing. Let's hope that this leads to something, because I hope that night is remembered forever, because we won the Champions League. I hope the PSG 2 ties is remembered forever because we won the Champions League. And I hope we get revenge if it is Barcelona from 2006. So I don't want to be talking about the night in Madrid going, oh, that was a great night, but what a shame that we went out to PSG, or what a shame that we didn't do it in the final. That's kind of where I'm at now, bro.
I hear you use the word forgiven. In my opinion, it's not even... With Mikel, all 3 of us here have gone through different waves over time. But I feel like all 3 of us have given credit when credit has been deserved. Maybe at different levels or different standards deserving of that credit. But the way I look at it is it's about the trophy now, because everything else, you can make sense of it. You can make sense of maybe the time it's taken. What I can't make sense of is when you're given opportunities, you have to take them. In the Premier League, I'd say 22-23, a massive opportunity, we failed to take it. 23-24, not so much as big an opportunity as that season, because we done what we pretty much needed to do, aside from in one 90-minute game where we effed it up. But there's an opportunity here in the Champions League, and really and truly, it will be one of the greatest seasons of all time, even for someone like me or us, who's seen us win doubles and who's seen us go invincible, who's seen great players play for this club. And we also saw an opportunity in 2006 in a final, or an opportunity in 2009 in a semi-final.
Yeah.
You know, both fell, and since then we haven't come close to it. So how important is it to take this opportunity, Curtis?
I think it changes the total direction of our club if we win it. And I'll be honest, at the start of the season, I never thought we'd win the Champions League. I thought we might have a better chance of winning the Premier League because we just seemed like we were more capable. And the way we went out to Bayern Munich last year, I thought we were a little bit immature. We just didn't seem to know how to grab the opportunity. So I have to give Arteta and the team a lot of credit because they didn't freeze in the lights of Madrid and all that remontada and all that nonsense. They didn't look like they cared about that. But I think achieving great things in football is about grabbing opportunities sometimes, even when people don't think you're ready for it. We saw Chelsea win a Champions League and not even finish in the top four with Havertz and Timo Werner and players like that. So I think Arsenal have to be grabbing that opportunity now. The criticism I've always had of Arteta is we can all see you're a good manager, but can you get this team over the finish line? Apart from the FA Cup, which was within the first 6 months, he hasn't been able to do that. And I think if you're finishing second 3 years in a row, you should be nicking trophies here and there, an FA Cup, a Carabao Cup, you know. But if it's the biggest one, then you've sort of skipped all of that and gone straight to the top. Because if Arteta wins the Champions League, all of a sudden you're putting him in the top bracket of managers. Mm-hmm. I actually think if Arsenal win this Champions League, it's one of the greatest Champions Leagues we've ever seen won. I would go as far as that because we've got Mourinho up front. No disrespect to Mourinho. Have you ever seen somebody win a Champions League with a centre midfielder up front? Our best centre back of this season is injured, Gabriel. He's been the best, maybe even last season. He's not playing. Most of us thought Kivior was finished at Arsenal. So you're playing with a centre back that we didn't even think was good enough. A midfielder up front. Saka's been out for 3 months. The amount of things he's dealing with, Odegaard out of form at the moment, I think it would be one of the best to have beaten Real Madrid, beaten PSG, and then Inter or Barcelona in a final. When you look at the managers as well, Ancelotti, Luis Enrique, then you've got to do Flick or Inzaghi in a final. So, do
you think it'd be a tougher test, PSG, than Real Madrid?
Yeah, I think Real Madrid on paper and what they are in terms of heritage and that front three we fought, but I thought we ran all over the Real Madrid team. You look at their running stats, Modric in midfield, 39. The front three don't defend a lot. Both fullbacks out injured. It was actually set up for us to go and beat them if we could grab the opportunity. Where I look at PSG, they're in form, they've won the league.
Top
Saka, Vara, the fullbacks, Nuno Mendes and Hakimi are quality. Obviously, Saka caused Mendes a lot of problems when we played them.
Hardest play he's faced in.
That's what he said,
that's what Mendes said.
Because they get forward, so they do create space, but and they've won the league, so they can rotate heavily in the games. But we beat them once. We got to me, it all comes down to that first game. I think we've got to beat them in that home game. We've got to go to Paris with a lead, deal with Partey not being available, and then obviously bring him back for that second game. So yeah.
I was going to ask next anyway. I'll go to Dan first. How do you deal with Partey not being available? We've seen Trossard go up top 2 weeks in a row. Mourinho missed the last game. No update on that, but we'll assume he's available. I suggested maybe Lewis Skelly goes into the 6. We saw 20 minutes of that against Ipswich at the end with Zinni in the 8. But probably not enough for me to think that's what we're going to go with. In my opinion, we're probably going to go with Trossard up top, Mourinho in midfield. But is that what you would prefer with Partey out? Is that the best option for you?
I think it's going to be... I don't think people are talking enough about how we're going to miss Thomas Partey. That's what I will say first. Even against Palace, I thought he was our best player.
Yeah, he was good.
Along with Kivior, no one else really turned up in that game, in my opinion. But when I look at what I think he'll do, I think he'll drop Mourinho back into midfield. It's been interesting to see that he's done that the last couple. And against Everton, he did it. Obviously, against Ipswich, he did it. Trossard's been through the middle scoring goals against Palace and Ipswich. So I imagine that's probably what he'll go with. And I was quite happy to say that. But I actually feel like we've missed Mourinho up top. I can't even lie. I never thought I'd say this. I think when we were told we weren't signing anyone in January and Mourinho was going to be up top, I was livid. And it weren't because I know he's rubbish up front, because I've never seen him play there, right? It's because I'm like, really?
Not normal.
We're trying to get by with a central midfielder that we brought in to be the Xhaka replacement up top. I'm going to say it now. I think he's better up top than he is in midfield. I think he offers us more. I think he offers us just what Kai Havertz offers us. And I think, if I'm honest, probably more. I don't
Whoa,
look
whoa,
at
Whoa, there you go, easy.
You know what I mean? I think his finishing ability is there. I think his hold-up play is just as good. I think he's aerially a lot more of a threat. I think he actually gives us more interlinking with both Saka and Martinelli. I think both of them have played better since he's been up there. So I think it's been a good thing. So I'm starting to wonder now against PSG whether we do need to play him up top. And then we bring in Lewis Skelly into midfield, or Zinchenko, and then play Tierney at left back or something like that. I don't think he'll do that, but that could be an option. So at least we've got a couple of options now. I think the obvious one would have been Jorginho coming in for that kind of experience and European experience. That's not going to happen. It looks like he's out for a long time. So I think now with Partey suspended, I think it's massive that he comes back in the second leg, but in the first leg we've got to try and make do without it. I like Rice in the 6, personally. I still do. I think, if I'm honest, when people said to me, oh, he was brilliant in the 8 against Real Madrid, I don't even think he was in the 8. I think he played everywhere. He was literally covering every blade of grass, man. It was unreal. So I'm happy with him as box-to-box athleticism, but I do feel like he is a 6 and he knows what he's doing there. So I've got no problem with him being there. It's who plays in that left 8 for me, and it is, I think, going to be Marino with Trossard through the middle. And look, I think PSG can be got at. You know, Curtis makes a good point about some of the stuff that's not going for us at the moment in terms of Gabriel being out. Odegaard's been in poor form. We've got Lewis Skelly, an 18-year-old, playing at left back. Marino up front. Saka's half fit. There's a lot going against us at the moment. If we was to do the unthinkable and get through and win this, it would be an unbelievable achievement. And I think PSG, and I think, if I'm honest, all 4 clubs at the moment, I'd say there's probably 25% of each of them that could win this whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't have favourites. Barcelona probably are, but I actually think there's downfalls in them as well, that they can be got at defensively. Inter Milan have proven, as we've spoken about, that they've lost. I think Nantes ended up getting a last-minute equaliser against PSG midweek for 1-1. So it's not like they're flying and it's like they can't be caught. I think both teams can be caught, and you know, defensively they've got weaknesses, PSG and Barcelona. So I think when you look at it, I said this yesterday to Rob, for me, I feel like out of the 4, I think we're the ones that convincingly got through. Like, we were 5-1 winners. Bayern nearly beat Inter Milan. Villa nearly gave PSG a scare. And Guirassy got a hat-trick for Dortmund against Barcelona. So across both legs, we quite convincingly went through. So that's got to be a positive.
Are you saying 25% across the board as well? Everyone's in their 20.
Yeah, everyone's in the 20. I think with Inter and Barca, obviously, whichever one gets through, because they've won the Champions League before and they've won major trophies, you know, you would maybe give them the slight edge. So maybe I'd go 30% for those 2 and 20%, because us and PSG haven't won it.
Yeah. What about against PSG percentage?
I think that's just 50-50, you know. Yeah, I do. I think if Partey was available and Gabriel, I might edge towards us, but I think it's 50-50. In my head, I do feel like we'll get past PSG. I think that's because I've got so much belief from the Real Madrid performance, but I think that Partey suspension just makes it a little bit more even, because he's so important in that midfield. And
so what would you do? If we say he's probably going to go Marino, but what would you like
I would play Marino up front. It's very harsh on Trossard because he's scored a few goals since coming in, but I just think Marino, number 1, he makes our 2 wingers better with his link-up play, his hold-up play. Also, he gives you aerial threat. We know Saka likes to cross the ball. Is Trossard going to win that many headers, where I think Marino gives you that aerial threat? Obviously, then that's the question is, what do you do in midfield?
He gave Lewis Skelly a little stint, didn't he?
He gave him a little stint, but I just don't. Would he trust Tierney? I mean, Tierney's good enough, but obviously he doesn't. But I wouldn't have mind seeing Zinni in midfield. You know, it's a risk. But he plays there for Ukraine, and he's those passes are very good.
Oh, but he gives them away as well, though. So I'm
That's
worried
the
about
thing. It's a gamble. I mean,
Kvaratskhelia and Dembele on the counter when he gives it away.
And if he gives it away, that's the problem. We don't have. We don't really
left back, Ben White right back, but this is
Ben White
without
even
no
fit?
news on Ben White, yeah.
And the problem with Ben White is, you know, a not fully fit Ben White against Kvaratskhelia, who's such a good 1v1 winger. I just think you need timber on him.
I think Dembele, Lewis Skelly, and Timber. Kvaratskhelia just sounds.
Yeah. You need to deal with those 3, don't you? And then.
Say really Zinni or Trossard. That's how we're looking at it.
He's going to play Trossard. Trossard scored 4 in 4 games. He's going to play Trossard. We need that Trossard from last season that was clutch, big moments, big goals, Bayern Munich, Porto, and stuff like that. So. Yeah.
How about the game came with the news that Partey we're interested in, or we have been interested in renewing a year. He doesn't want that. He wants a bit more assurance, 1+1 or 2. Be happy with that?
Listen, he's been our best midfielder this season. And I always, Cecil asked me the question the other day. I said, well, who do you replace him with? Because I don't see that many top quality number 6s. Everyone talks about Rodri, but beneath that, who... Obviously, we know we want Zubimendi. Maybe he'll sign him even if Partey is at the club. But
should do though. Because
yeah, you should. You need that level of competition. Yeah. I think it'll be in the details with Partey. He's 32 this year. He's on 200. Is he on 200 grand a week at the moment?
250. Yeah.
250. I mean, really, you'd like to reduce that wage a little bit. Maybe you can give him a big signing on fee and bring down the weekly wage. I think you've got to give him 1+1. Is what I think is the perfect compromise. Do you want a guy that turns 32 on 250 for 2 more years, who's had a bad injury record? I think if it's 1+1 and then after a year, you've got that get out clause if things aren't working. I think that's the compromise. But I think in terms of his quality, you've got to keep him. We've let too many good players just walk out the club on a free over the years. Oba left on a free, all these players where you should have got 10, 15 million.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to change a lot of our attack this season. You'd expect a new left winger and a new striker.
But Huyson's also been linked.
He's also been linked. But what I'm saying is, you don't want 2 of your front 3 changing and then maybe 2 of your midfield changing. You need stability in certain areas of the team. So I think to keep Partey and Rice, Odegaard, I mean, that's a different conversation, the way he's playing. But yeah, I think you've got to keep Partey.
You agree, Partey? Yeah.
Listen, 1+1. Sounds good to me. Makes sense. I don't actually mind if he stays on the same wages. I'm not really too bothered. I think if we was to say to him, drop it to 150, he might say, well, I ain't doing that when you're putting Kai on 290 a week. So I think it'd be fair for Partey to say that. He's been our best player this season, or one of. I think he's clearly been our best midfielder. And it's fine to say Jorginho and Partey are going and that's the wages done. But Zubimendi's coming in. Have we seen enough of him to say that he is definitely 100% better than Thomas Partey? I haven't seen enough of him. Like he's a good player, from what I hear. Great things about him. I think Thomas Partey has been phenomenal this season. And for me, him and Rice in the middle, I still have a little bit of question marks over the balance of our midfield. One thing that is absolute dead cert is that he's the best number 6 at the club, Partey. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. And I think he's been superb. When you look at what he does and the consistency of his performance when he is fit, I think he's outstanding. He's got to be 1+1 for me. And I think if you hear the rumours and you believe the rumours, he's quite happy in London. His family are happy in London. He's probably going to get offers from Spain and Italy, but I do think we can keep him and we should keep him, man. Yeah.
I agree with that. I think keep him and still buy a midfielder, but we've got other work to do.
Yeah.
Even the Huyson stuff, I'm not going to get into that. It's just it's quite a strong link, but yeah.
I think there's other clubs as well with Huyson in there, and I think Huyson's got to decide, does he want us to play first team football? If he wants to go Chelsea or Newcastle, he's probably guaranteed that. With Liverpool and Arsenal, he probably isn't. So
yeah.
Last question before we slowly wrap it up. Do you think we're going to win the Champions League?
It's a dangerous question, because people like clipping things up and you're setting us up for that, aren't you?
I am, but you know what? We've got to be like, listen, we are quite outspoken either way, so the question is out there.
Listen, if you've just beat Real Madrid 5-1,
and not feel that you can win it.
If you don't believe you can win it, then there's something wrong. I always
it's a good question for us three though, because usually we're not the best of belief.
We're quite
the silence when the question dropped. It's like, oh shit.
I always have this strange thing with Arsenal. It's like the more they make you believe, the more they kind of let you down. You get to a point in the season, you go, oh, we might win the league. We're 8 points clear of City, and then it comes crashing down.
Do you know what's mad? Do you know the moment I thought we're going to win this league in 22-23? Half time against Liverpool.
Okay.
2-0 up at Anfield.
2-0.
Yeah.
That's when I thought, or leading up to half time when it was 2-0. That's when I thought we're winning this league.
Yeah.
Ended 2-2. We didn't win again for 3 games. And we were second.
Maybe the Reece Nelson
against Bournemouth for me. I thought it's just written in the stars. Jorginho last minute against Villa. I'm thinking everything's written for us here. Crazy, innit? Look, I'll go one more. I feel like 70% of me is saying I hope we win it. 30% is I believe we win it. I'm kind of there. I don't feel like I've seen enough from this group of players and this manager to go, they've got the mentality to win this. We've seen them get across the line before. We've seen this group of players do the unthinkable before. If I would have had that, I'd have gone, I think we're going to do it again. I've already won the league. Now we're going to go and win the Champions League. I feel like when it's mattered, we didn't go to St James's Park and do it.
Yeah.
When it mattered, we couldn't be a dusty Man United side on penalties.
10 men even.
Yeah.
And we can go back to last season and season before, we've crumbled in Premier League titles as well. So I feel like that is probably the thing I can't shift. I think the only thing I will say about the Champions League is I actually felt like we'd have more chance of winning the Champions League in the last 2 years, because I feel like we're more of a balanced side. We've got that defence in a knockout competition. We might have a chance. With the Premier League, I see too many cluster of results where we just draw too many here and there, and we get a loss, draw, and then we go wins again. You can't do clusters in the Premier League to win it. With the Champions League, you can get through because it's a knockout stage. And that's why I feel, other than Real Madrid have won it 15 times, I look at the teams that have won it, they've been worse teams win it than Arsenal, than this Arsenal team as well, by the way. So I feel like that's why I've got kind of that 30% belief that we can do it. But there's kind of a massive chunk that's saying, why do you? Because we haven't shown that we can yet with this team and manager. So I hope they prove us wrong and they do it, because it would be an unbelievable night, really would.
One more then. I think we'll make the final. Do you?
Yeah.
Everyone here thinks them.
Yeah, I think across
final.
2 legs we can. I don't want to say like we've done it against Real Madrid, so we're another 3-0 at home, and then it'll be, that doesn't matter away, because it doesn't always work like that. And I'll say I think PSG are a better team than Real Madrid. Do I think it's a bigger task? No. Because the task of beating Real Madrid, the mentality of that competition with them is different. But I do think they've got better quality.
Bernabeu, I'm not going to lie, inside.
Mad.
I get it.
Paris is a bit mad. I seen them saying the other day, like, if you don't go there with a lead, get difficult.
Yeah, but even what I mean about the Bernabeu itself is, even the day before when I went in for the tour, and you do the panoramic view at the end, without no fans in there, it still had
something about it.
Yeah, like I understand why players want to walk out on this pitch and
play for that.
It was just there was something about it. But I know Paris Saint-Germain and their fans, they create. I don't think the atmosphere created there was the greatest.
Yeah.
But I do think Paris will probably.
I think it's got a running track around the pitch, and it's a bit for PSG, a bit for.
It would be the dream to beat PSG and Barcelona, because you're kind of killing 2 birds. You're forgetting that night in Paris by beating PSG and going through, and you're beating Barcelona to get revenge from 2006. That would be the dream way to win, and to beat Real Madrid as well. Across that, on top of that, it could be an unbelievable season.
Where I started here at AFTV, 5-1 Munich.
Wow.
Imagine, that's why I said full circle. Back to Munich, man. Champions League winners. It's
That's either the time to retire, or that's where the fun begins.
That's the other side, isn't it? You're thinking to yourself, it could be the greatest season ever. It could, like, imagine the pain if.
Oh, bro, because I'm still not over 06.
I'm
same, bro.
I'm still not
because
over
of Thierry.
06.
You know, my thing with 06 is not that we lost; it's that Henry missed a one-on-one.
Yeah.
To make it 2-0, we would have won it.
I think the Lehman one, I'd rather that goal have just gone in and we kept 11.
But we still should have hung on, shouldn't we?
Yeah, we should have.
Almunia, bro.
No, I don't like talking about
one
that.
of them was an own goal, really, because it was going to the corner flag, Belletti's one. It hits the corner of his foot and goes in. Modern day, they're calling that an own goal because they're looking at.
Didn't they say Eto'o was offside? They reckon slightly off. But no, listen, let's rewrite history.
Look, the pain is still very real.
That's nearly 20 years,
10, 15 minutes. Let's not do 09. That was the
United
Ronaldo free kick.
Free kick.
Park Ji-sung just.
That's Almunia again, wasn't it?
Well, that guy
40
finished
yards
us.
up
That was the
post.
Emirates era. Almunia.
How did that guy have 6 seasons in goal for Arsenal?
After that debut.
On my channel, I don't talk about Almunia. I say that's a swear word, bro. I don't mention it.
Worst goalkeeper we had, man. We've had dodgy ones as well.
Yeah. Worst by far. But yeah, listen, Curtis, love. Dan, love. Football's 12th Man People. That's Dan's channel. Curtis Shaw TV. That's Curtis's channel. Mine's Turkish LD and the Big Six, obviously, as well. But make sure you subscribe right here. Hit the like button and let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And your prediction, will we make the final? Will we win the Champions League? Maybe too big of a question right now, but give me your thoughts, give us your thoughts, and make sure you show the individual channel some love too. Love for the love, we're at people. Peace.